Man, I almost got the beat right on the money there to make it sound like that was the end of the song, but oh well. Hello, everybody. This is Mike Dane with MLS Technology. Today we're going to be discussing the mobile apps that you guys have available to you as agents, as well as some of the mobile options when you guys are out in the field. Before we get started with the actual course content and to give some other people some opportunity to actually get signed into the class, we're going to be talking a little bit about how the webinar system operates. So I apologize to those of you guys who have been through our classes before. I know this is a repeat, but you guys are going to be starting on mute by default. There is a Q&A button down at the very bottom of the screen that you guys can use to ask any questions. We ask that you please make sure that all of the questions get funneled into that section because we want to make sure that all of the questions are answered in a timely order. The chat section, unfortunately, does not make any, it just doesn't really give me any notification that there's a question. So if you guys do have a question, make sure that's in the Q&A. We also will be recording the session. There's a couple new things that we're going to be discussing with this, so we want to make sure that that's all recorded. We'll be sending you guys the recording afterwards, as long as I can get the YouTube did a copyright strike on something it shouldn't have, and I'm still waiting for the appeal, but I'm hoping that we can actually start posting videos again because there is no reason that should have happened. Anyway, you know, the robots, they don't really like me for some reason. But we should hopefully have that session recorded and sent. It'll be recorded and we'll send it off however I can get it up on the internet so you guys can see it. If you do end up having any audio or video issues, please make sure to let us know as quickly as possible. We want to make sure that we're getting everything done in an appropriate order. And if you guys end up having disconnects or problems with the video or the audio coming through, we want to make sure that you're able to stay connected and be able to get that CE credit. Because we had a little bit of an issue earlier today, but we will. Oh, yeah, we should be set. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure that everybody leaves me alone while I'm in the webinar. We will be sending off the CE credit for this class after class is over. Since the end of the month is on a Sunday this month, we are going to try and make sure that everything is sent off to OREC either today or tomorrow at the absolute latest so that they can get that applied to your license quickly. I think beyond that, we should be set. Let me make sure we got everything we need. All right. So as always, buttons down at the very bottom of the screen. You're going to have your chat button. You're going to have your Q&A button. Hit that raise hand if you would like to get unmuted. Just to be clear, we also don't want you guys to feel like you can't raise your hand since this is a shorter class. If you would like to get unmuted, just let me know. Especially since there's so few people in class today, we can give it a little bit extra time, keep things a little bit more loose. This is a hot CE credit class, so we do have a little bit of wiggle room. If you guys want me to focus a little bit more on a certain app, we can do that. All right. I think that should be about it. The last app that we're signing into, and then we'll go ahead and get started. And actually, so I did skip one thing that we normally would talk about, which is if you guys are joining us on mobile app or on a mobile device for the webinar, that is definitely not recommended. We want to make sure that everybody's able to get signed in and everything, but the okay, we'll get that set up in just a second here. The mobile devices aren't going to be showing the screen very well. I'm actually going to have on the left-hand side of the screen our mobile device that I'm going to be showing everything on, and then I'm also going to be showing you guys on the right-hand side the desktop version of whatever the equivalent app is. So we are not going to really have too much screen real estate to be able to do this stuff. We want to make sure that everything is going to make sense. So give me just a second here, and we will go ahead and get started. Oops, full screen still. Oh, left side. I apologize. And awesome. We're all set. All right. So the class today, again, is going to be the mobile agent class. What we're going to be focused on today is trying to make sure that we're actually running through all the different apps that you guys will have available to you. Now, some of the important things to remember here is that this is not necessarily just trying to guide you guys towards, you guys need to do this or that. This is just showing you guys these so that you can have an understanding of which options are available. Get this set up. There we go. All right. So on the side of the screen here, I've got my iPhone. We're going to be presenting it on the side so that you guys can see what what you guys can use on your phone. There we go. All right, everything's working. So first things first, we are officially starting class. Looks like we got 3 people here. Excellent. So the first thing I wanted to discuss today was the mobile app access that you guys have when you guys are not using any installed apps. So what I mean by that is that on almost all of the apps that you guys have available through the MLS portal, there's going to be a mobile equivalent. Now, what that mobile equivalent looks like is going to vary depending on which app you guys happen to be using. So for instance, if we're trying to get into Matrix, we do have an app that's the equivalent of that called MLS Touch, but you guys can also get into Firefox, Chrome, Safari, whatever you guys want to use, and just sign in to mlstechnology.com. Put in your information. Actually, let me move this off the screen real quick. I always forget that it shows you the text I'm typing in. There we go. Oops. So once you guys get logged in on a browser, again, doesn't matter which browser you guys happen to be using. You can use Chrome, Firefox, Safari, any specific browser that you guys have on your phone. You guys should be able to get signed into the MLS portal like you normally would. I'm going to get into Matrix. Now, Matrix does have a mobile equivalent. It's going to be a little bit difficult to get to on a mobile app. So when you guys are signed into Matrix, up at the top right corner, there's going to be a button here to switch over to the mobile version. Now, it's the same exact option when you guys are on the mobile device. So keep your eyes over here on the right-hand side. I'm actually going to be zooming in all the way up here to the top right. Click on that little drop down. And just like I did on the desktop side, I'm going to hit mobile. This brings me to a screen that's going to be a little bit easier to digest on mobile. It's a little bit more shaped to the screen size rather than having a whole bunch of little buttons that you're going to have to zoom in on. Everything is going to be a little bit more finger accessible. One of the important distinctions between the desktop version and the mobile version is that the options that you guys have for searching and news and your listings, et cetera, are all kind of going to be hidden underneath some buttons that you have to kind of navigate through. Like if I want to get into a search, I can't just hold my cursor over this and then click on quick res. I'm going to have to click into search, then I'm going to have to click into residential. Then I'm going to actually have a basic search that I can use. I'm going to hit my home button up at the top here. One thing that does stay the same between mobile and the desktop is this speed bar. Now, the speed bar is something that we cover a little bit in our advanced matrix class, but I wanted to clarify what this actually does. So the speed bar is where you guys can enter some shorthand that'll allow you to run a search for just something that you type in. So for instance, I'm going to pull this up over here. You could actually take a look at this. So what it is going to do is I could type in whatever the property type is. I can type in a specific status if I want. We can even add in a specific city to search for, or maybe a certain price range to work within, any of the attributes about bedrooms. And then you can also add bathrooms. It's kind of an either bedrooms or bedrooms and bathrooms. You can't do bathrooms alone. They've got the square footage you can search for. Then we also have an open house search, agent search, and office search, all of which can be done through just some shorthand text that you enter into the top of Matrix. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning all of this is because, again, this is the common thread between the mobile version and the desktop version. So when you guys are out in the field, knowing this shorthand is going to make things a lot easier if you guys are not using an app. So for instance, I'm going to go ahead and run a search for a residential search in Eufaula. So I'm going to type in RES, indicating that I want to search for residential property type. A, indicating I'm looking for the active status. I'm going to put a $sign in and say 150 to 350. So because I'm putting in a range, it's going to search between that range. If I were to put, let's say, a negative, it's going to do the same thing that we would do if we were on a matrix search, where it'll say 150,000 or less. It's automatically assuming the thousands. And then it's also going to have the option to, let's put that 350 back, do bedrooms and bathrooms. So in this case, I'm actually going to do both. Now, just to be clear, if there is an unaccompanied phone or unaccompanied number in the speed bar, it's just going to automatically assume that the first unaccompanied number is a bedroom. The second one will automatically be assumed to be the bathroom. Now, what I mean by saying unaccompanied is that it doesn't have a $sign in front of it, and it doesn't have square footage after it. So in this case, if I were to put in the same thing here, so the 3, 4, put that in there, it's going to be looking for 4 or more bedrooms, 3 or more bathrooms. And then finally, I'm going to put in a square footage range, so 2,000 to 2,500. And again, I need to make sure that this is associated with the item that I'm looking for, so square feet. And then finally, I'm going to put in the location I want to search in. Now, I'm going to use Broken Arrow as my example so that we're actually finding everything in that area. But notably, if you do have a city name, so Broken Arrow, Broken Bow, whatever, that's 2 words, the city name will have to be condensed. So just take that space out. Good news is the system will automatically know how to interpret that. Now, as soon as I hit the search button over here or just hit enter, it's going to run that search, and all of these elements have been turned into criteria, and I just get drawn directly into the results page. So active, Broken Arrow, price range, bedroom, bathroom, square footage, all of which was added using just text up at the top of the screen. You can also put in just an MLS number. You can put in an agent search. So like if I wanted to just talk to somebody that was Mike Yuri or something like that, I wanted to search for them, I can type in a portion of their first name, their last name, or a portion of their last name, and run that search. AG is similar to the way that we used RES to indicate our property type. So this allowed me to see an agent search for my Yuri. Since I didn't know if it was Mike or just Michael, I just left that portion off. So here I can find him, get into his listings, etc. So the reason why we're mentioning all of this, why it's relevant, is because when I get over here onto my app or onto my, onto my browser on my phone, I can do the exact same thing. So I'm going to type in res, A for active. Let's do Eufaula, and I'm just going to do a simple price range. So 250 to 350. Perfect. I hit go, and this immediately sends me into 17 results for that particular search. Now, you'll notice that the listing number and then the address are going to be shown here, but in order to find out more about the listing, I'm actually going to have to click on that little arrow and read more from there. Wow. So it was just Monday this week that we ended up adding the 2,000 characters, and it appears that this person really wanted to make sure that they got in that full 2,000. Memories are waiting to be made here. Interesting. Anyway, so we can see all of the information on here. Down here at the very bottom, I've got all the contact information for the agent, so I can quickly get in touch with them. But I can also email this off to clients if I need. So at the very top, we can add in any contacts that I wanted. We can even create brand new contacts. I'm going to use, let's just do this guy that I created earlier today. I can add in any just direct emails, blind carbon copy myself if I want, add in a subject, add in a message, and send it. Now, the main thing that I would like for you guys to remember about this is that when you guys are using this on the phone, this is still going to be Matrix, which means that if I go back into the regular version of Matrix and go to my recent searches, it should end up finding any of the searches that I've done on the mobile app. It may take a little bit of time for it to import that data over, but it's all the same system. So you guys can keep on using it no matter what. Also, if you guys do find that there's some limitations within the mobile version of Matrix that's maybe making it a little bit cumbersome, or let's say that you guys are trying to run a search on the residential side and it's just not including all of the elements that you would like to search by, You guys can always switch back over to the full version by going back to the home page and then just clicking on full site. This allows you guys to just go back to the regular version and put your phone into horizontal mode, and you guys can run your search using the same basic tools that you guys had access to before. So easy peasy. Now, this all sounds well and good, but obviously there's going to be some better ways to do this. So I'm going to just go ahead and reduce this down. Let's actually now talk about Realist. Now, Realist ended up going through a major overhaul in 2020. I want to say it was towards the beginning of 2020. So it turned out that the previous version of Realist was actually developed in a piece of software called Flash. If you guys happen to remember this whole debacle, Flash actually was completely unsupported as of the end of 2020. Well, since Realist was developed in that piece of software, they ended up having to redo everything in their entire system to make sure that it was going to be up to code after the Flash software was no longer going to be supported. Because if it's not supported, that means that people can make viruses for it, et cetera, et cetera. So what they did is they decided to move towards what's called HTML5. That means that the same website can be viewed on a mobile device as it is on a computer. So if you have a different screen size, it's going to automatically recognize what the screen size is and reformat the web page to that screen size. So what you're seeing here is on the left-hand side, I've got the desktop version of Realist. We've got the county, the Realist, quick search, my search, et cetera, et cetera. And over here on the mobile version of the site, it's the exact same functions. So if I were to switch over to my search, if I wanted to find a specific saved search that I was using, like I'm going to be doing a foreclosure query, I can use the exact same information as a foreclosure query over here. So all of the same details can be found, including if I wanted to, let's say, customize my search, I can customize this search on my phone. I want to add some attributes in there, put an address, hit apply. Perfect. Now this is my own custom search. So down here at the very bottom, I've got an address space. Now, one thing you guys should know about this is that when you're using the mobile-friendly version of this site, the layout is going to be a little weird when you get to the results. So let's just do a quick example. I'm going to be doing a single address. We'll use the same one that we use in our, there we go. There we go. So I've got a property. It's just going to automatically pull into my results. And again, layout's going to be a little bit different. Notice this is the exact same information. So if I came back over here, did the exact same search, 125, Sandusky, I'm seeing the exact same data. It's just laid out a little bit differently. If I go back, I can still see a card of the data, but it's not automatically bringing me to the map like it would be on the desktop version. But I can still go to the map and I can still navigate around and do what I need to from there. So Realist is available. I do suggest if you guys are wanting to search for tax records, there's going to be a couple other options in the form of apps that we're going to be discussing in just a couple minutes here. I'd strongly, strongly recommend that you guys use either RPR or even just the app that we have available through our MLS, which is MLS Touch. Again, we're going to be covering both of those in just a bit. Now, we also have a couple other apps that are available through the mobile site. Chiefly, and this is going to be very important for those of you guys who are on Android devices, Transaction Desk is going to have an app that's available, but the app is only available on iOS devices. So that means iPhones, iPads will have it, Android devices will not. I don't know exactly why. I think there's some people that had developed the app a long time ago, and at the time, Android wasn't as secure. I mean, they're about par now. Both of them are way more secure than the old school BlackBerry phones, which were known for that. But yeah, we're way past that stage now. Android's very secure, iPhone's very secure, so there's no reason not to. But I should point out that the app that's available on iPhone and iPad is also very out of date. And by that, I mean, it's I don't think it's been updated since 7 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. It's very out of date. It still functions because really all it is just a wrapper for the mobile version of the website. So you load into the mobile version of the website on a browser, Chrome, Safari, whatever. You're still going to be getting the exact same experience as what the app allows you guys to do on an iPhone. So for those of you guys on Android, this is your only option. For those of you guys who are on an iPhone, I'd still suggest actually just using a browser to get into it because it's going to give you the exact same experience. Now, you guys do have a little bit of a difference in how everything is laid out, just because, again, it's on a very small screen. But beyond that, your capabilities are not really hamstrung at all. You can still upload things, fill out forms, get through all of your documents, send things off to clients, et cetera, et cetera. So very easy to use, exact same buttons, almost the exact same layout on things. So it's not something I would necessarily recommend using if you guys are out in the field. I'd still suggest getting, I don't know, even just an iPad and using Transaction Desk through a browser or something, or tablet, using it through a browser. But it is available on your phones as well. And as a suggestion, if you guys do have a tablet, I think one of the easiest ways to actually get any of this paperwork filled out would just be to bring that tablet with you and then fill it out while you're talking to the client. Because we do have a couple different options for the property condition disclosures. We have forms that are available to even just get the property data form done. And you guys can fill all of that out while you guys are on the road or in somebody's house without actually even needing to use a computer to do it. So if I wanted to get my property data form filled out for a new listing, I can go through the process of filling all of this out on my phone, my iPad, and then when I get back to the computer, I just hit a button. It automatically uploads that listing as an incomplete listing into the system, and you're good to go. So all this data could actually be sent back into Matrix and turned into a listing without me having to go through the process of re-entering the data. Fill it all out on my phone, my iPad, get back to the computer. I got a fresh listing waiting for me to complete. So strongly recommended if you guys have a tablet. I think that's actually one of the best tools that you guys can use. Using your phone is fine, but having that extra screen real estate is really helpful. And also then you don't have to carry around a 6.5-inch screen in your pocket or in your purse or something like that. I hope nothing bad happens to it. It's a lot better cases for iPads and tablets. Anyway, I promise I'm not trying to turn this into a buy Apple products promotion, though I did used to work for Apple. All right. Now there's another app website that you guys can use through the mobile, which is the showing time. Now, this one is especially redundant. If you guys do have the need to even see any of your showing time stuff while you're on the road, for sure try the app instead. It's way better than doing it on the browser. It's just a little bit faster, the same exact functionality, but most importantly, if you guys end up getting notifications, you're going to have to get signed into the MLS and then sign into showing time using the link to showing time. If you guys have the app installed, you'll actually get those notifications through the app, which means that if I had somebody that requested for an appointment, I will just see a little notification saying that somebody has requested something in the showing time app, and I can just go in there, approve it, deny it, check the feedback that people have provided, etc. So it's way better to just do the app instead. But if you guys don't want to switch over, no problem. You guys can just use the browser and avoid having to install anything else on your phone. All right. Now that's it for the apps that are available on the browser on your devices. I did want to point out the Sentry Lock does not work. And the other option is, it's just a mess. And I think the only reason it's even showing this interface is because we're admins. And then we also have RPR, which if you guys click on RPR through your browser, it's just going to immediately try and get into the app itself. So strongly recommended that if you guys actually are trying to get into either showing time, Sentry Lock, or RPR, that you guys just use the app instead. So as a really ham-fisted segue, we're going to actually now move into that territory. So the apps that I would actually recommend that everybody install on their phone are right up here at the top. I always recommend that everybody puts in MLS Touch. And just as a heads up, MLS Touch is actually MLS-Touch. So just be aware that it's actually MLS-Touch when you're searching for it on your App Store. And then we also recommend that you guys install the RPR mobile app. If you are not using RPR yet, again, it's the absolute best piece of software that you guys have available to you as realtors. I know that sounds like hyperbole, but this is actually an app developed by NAR for members of their association. So if you are licensed as a realtor, you have access to this tool. It's fantastic. We're going to get to that in a minute. If you are using Showing Time, again, the Showing Time app is by far the superior option, way better than signing in on a website. If you're using the Sentry Key system, that's pretty much required to have that available. If you're on an iPhone or an iPad, you do have Transaction Desk on there, but again, you can run that through your browser. It may be easier to just run on a computer though, or a tablet. Now, we also have a new app that just came out. This is called the Safe Showings. Now, this is something that is very easy to get signed up for. When you guys are back on your MLS homepage, there's going to be a Safe Showings sign up option. We're going to start with this one because it's not going to be too much to explain here. When you guys get into the Safe Showings registration page, it's literally just going to ask for a couple basic pieces of information, and then it's going to let you rip. You just download the app, it sends you an email that you download the app with, and then you're done. It's just you sign in, and now you'll have access. Now, it is a very basic app, so I'm going to actually do this little
By downloading the Safe Showings app, you're proactively preparing to take advantage of more secure client contact when conducting open houses and showing appointments. Start by entering the emergency contacts of your choice, like friends, your broker, or family members. It's an easy one-step process. The app features an easy-to-adjust timer feature that will alert your emergency contacts if you have not responded during the time frame you have set. When showing properties, the app will track your exact location via the GPS feature. You can autofill your appointment's information right from the contacts in your phone. You can see that the app provides significant safety at this point, but there's more. When first meeting with the appointment, use your phone to snap a photo of the client. Research demonstrates that this approach is the best way to deter criminal behavior. Now your contacts will be notified if you don't check in based on the timer, and identifying information based on the photo from your showing. All of these features give you accountability for safely doing business during your showings and open houses. Following each showing, the app gives you the opportunity to make a record of the appointment. The app provides free form notes that the app will store for you. By the way, the Safe Showings app saves all the information from each showing so that you can go back and review your opportunities for sales. The open house feature provides the same great security options. Always be sure to get the facial image for all contacts during your open houses. There is a handy 5-star rating system for your showing contacts. This, along with your notes, can alert you and others of potential problems from a suspicious person or from any previous showing.
All right, so that's just kind of a little bit of a basic overview of this. Just for some kind of background clarity on exactly why this was made, the woman that helped kind of get this started, didn't develop it herself, but the one that initiated it, had a kind of dangerous experience with a client that she was working with, went out for a showing, things got a little weird, and so she decided that she needed to try and find a way to make it so that people could actually keep track of this stuff and keep themselves safe. And it's amazing how much of a deterrent it is to just know that somebody has your photo and your name and could potentially point back to you with everything that they might need to penalize you legally. So it's a really solid choice. I can't stress enough how valuable this could be. I know that this is something that, at least me as a man, I didn't think it was going to be quite as necessary. But as far as the statistics show, men, women, young, old, doesn't seem to matter. When a realtor is targeted, it's just because of their role, not any other element of them. So if you guys haven't explored this yet, again, it's a really easy click. Just click here, get signed into it, and you guys can start using it immediately. Add in your contacts, just like I did just now. You guys can go through and verify those emergency contacts, add in any showings, start an open house, all that information. Now, this is something that we provide to you guys for free. I think that it's a really, really valuable tool. Make sure that you guys are checking this out. And if you enjoy it, like it, feel that it's a necessity, make sure that you guys get that installed on your phone. Now, on to a little bit less grim stuff. I'm going to move back now over to our homepage here. Let's now talk about our matrix equivalent, which is MLS Touch. Again, if you guys are going to be downloading this on your app store, it's going to be MLS-Touch. So when you guys get into MLS Touch, it's going to ask you to sign in first. Now, I've already gone through that process, but it's very basic. You put in what state, use MLS Technology, or if you guys are part of MLS OK in Oklahoma City, you guys can sign in there as well. They also use MLS Touch. But either way, you guys should get signed in like normal, and you'll end up on this 6-pack. They are going to be rearranging some of the interface on here. So the recording that I'm going to be providing to you guys, unfortunately, won't be relevant for too long. But in the interim, what we have on this 6-pack is we've got a basic map search, which will pretty much just show you exactly where you are. You can start navigating around, finding listings that are available nearby. But we also have an advanced search where you guys can go through and add in all of the features, the filters, whatever, and even add in more criteria afterwards. So there's a lot of different ways to narrow down your search. Oh, I see we got a question. Is there a way to see disclosures on the MLS app? Unfortunately, not yet. Coincidentally, though, we found out that the Oklahoma City MLS actually is sharing their disclosures through the MLS Touch app. So we're going to be trying to partner with them a little bit. In case you guys weren't in our Matrix class earlier today, we're working a little bit more closely with Oklahoma City nowadays to try and set up effectively a really rudimentary data share, because we're both using Matrix, so it wouldn't be that hard to try and unify the systems that you guys can search for things easily. This is going to be a long process, but we're at least really excited to get that process started. But one of the main things that we're going to try and focus on right now is making sure that any of the capabilities that we have currently that they do not have, that they get caught up on. And similarly, we're trying to get these disclosures to show up in the app the same way that it does for them, because honestly, it doesn't make any sense that they're able to do this thing that we've been asking them for, and they haven't been able to accommodate us. So near future, yes, we should be able to see the disclosures in the MLS app, but at the moment, no. But that is a good question. That's actually one of the first things I was asking too. I was like, wait a second, if we can see the listing data, how much listing data can we see? Like attachments, disclosures, any documents that they wanted to share, et cetera. But we also have an MLS number search. This is just going to be super basic. You just put in the MLS number and that's it. We've got a saved searches option. I wanted to point something out on this because there's actually a really cool connection between MLS Touch and Matrix. Now, MLS Touch is its own separate entity. So they actually are developed by a company called Prospects. But Prospects works closely with the company that developed Matrix, which is CoreLogic, to try and get some extra connections into your profile. So when we get to the saved search section, you're going to see a tab up here for the MLS Touch searches. So you follow Lewis/Riverside. So these are things that I actually set up specifically within MLS Touch. I will not be able to see these over here in Matrix. I'm going to go to my saved searches in Matrix and click on this Matrix tab. And you'll notice that I actually have the exact same information in both places. Now it's sorted a little bit differently because this is doing it based on when it was that I created that search. So I can actually switch this up and see it in the right order. So here I have Jacob's Family Search, Tulsa Houses, Bartlesville Props, Coweta, etc. So whenever we're actually taking a look at these, this is all of our information pulled over directly into the MLS Touch app. So if you guys save a search that you're going to be using frequently, you guys can jump into the app and run that exact same 100 to 200 price range in Tulsa and see the exact same results that I would be seeing if I tried to run this on Matrix. So it's a really handy way to try and keep track of all of this information. It also allows you guys to jump into any of these, start sharing them, put in a showing request, add them to a cart that you guys might be able to use, search for comparables, print them off, etc. There's even a star. So once you guys are actually in a listing, scroll through, see all the photos for it, star it, and that way you guys can find this again easily. So this 514 South Wheeling Avenue, I'm going to be able to see in my saved properties. A little further down, I've got the public remarks. Again, this is what we just increased to 2,000, so this is going to take up a lot more screen space soon, depending on how many people start using it. We also have a section here for private notes. So if you guys are discussing things with a client and you guys are on a showing tour or whatever, and they're like, hey, you know, that property that's across the street looks pretty nice, you can add in a note why it was they liked it, etc. We also have the realist tax information. This is actually available for all of the properties in Oklahoma. What I mean by that is not just the listings. I mean, you guys can actually run a search or zoom in on the map and actually find realist information for any property that you can spot. We'll take a look at that a little bit later when we're back on our map search. The general information that you guys have access to, the features, the utilities, room details, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of this is just, again, repackaged listing data that you guys would have just as easy access if you guys were doing this on the desktop. Oh, here's that same listing. Perfect. All right. Now, down at the very bottom of the page, there's going to be something that actually follows with us, no matter how far down or how far up we scroll. Notice that little contact agent button. This is going to pull up the contact information for the listing agent. You can see all the different options to try and reach out to them. And similarly, we're also going to be able to see the next listing the same way that we do in Matrix. So like if I wanted to move next to previous, I can do the exact same thing on here. So now I'm at the 659. Where is it? Oh, perfect. There we go. So we can see the same information on here. It's an interesting choice for a primary photo, but whatever you think works. Anyway, again, we can see the contact information. We can reach out to them. There's the share option. We're actually going to talk about this share option a bunch in a moment here, though. So we're going to circle back around to that. All right, I'm going to close out of that. Let's get back to our home page. And let's take a look now at the My Listings section. Now, if we have any listings, I've got a fake listing in here, so this is hopefully obvious that this isn't a real listing. I did have somebody reach out to me one time about a listing that I put in that was fake, even though this image right here was the image that I had put on the listing. But anyway, I tried to make it a little bit more obvious now. We do have the option to make some minor adjustments to it. There is an edit listing option that is, yeah, finally working. Oh, thank goodness. You guys can do some really basic modifications to this if you do have add edit permissions. So in my case, this account that I have right now, the training agent account does. So I can change it to a different status if I needed to. I can change the price, change any of the remarks, and all of this can be done from mobile. All right, so that's our My Listings section. Now that My Favorites section, remember there was that star that I hit on that wheeling one. So if I scroll down here, should be able to find that wheeling one. Ah, perfect, right down here at the bottom. So my most recent favorite. So if I needed to send this off to somebody, I could save it as a favorite, come back to it later, and send it when it's appropriate. Now, a couple other buttons that we have on our homepage before we start looking more at the search function, contacts, etc., is an InstaView and Hot Sheet. Let's talk about that InstaView first. It's going to say no properties around right now. What this is actually looking at is all of the properties that are in the immediate vicinity. This means within 400 feet of wherever you happen to be standing. So as I mentioned before with the kind of casual example, if we do end up in a situation where a client is like on a showing tour and they're taking a look around and all of a sudden they end up seeing some property across the street and they're like, tell me more about that one. And you're like, I didn't even know that was for sale. You can hit this button that says InstaView and immediately pull up the details about that property. So it makes it way easier to try and find out information. Additionally, we also have a hot sheet button. Now, the hot sheet is similarly going to be showing us the properties in the immediate vicinity, but we can also go down here to the bottom and say change property type. I want it to be residential, change location, and I want to change it to, let's do, how about Tahlequah? There we go. Next. And this will show me all of the stuff that's been happening. And up at the top of the screen, you're going to see all of the different date ranges. So I went from 30 to 14 to 7 to 5, 3, and then 1 day. So any of the active listings, I can jump in there, take a look at it, save it as a favorite, send it to a client, whatever I need to do. Right? Now, let's now talk about some of those buttons at the very bottom of the home screen. These are buttons that should actually be following you around a lot of the time, but not every screen will have them. So let's just think about them as just residing on the home page. When you guys are on the home page, there's going to be a search function down here at the bottom that's going to just bring you directly into the map. When you're looking at the map, I mentioned before that there was the option to actually see any of the realist data for any of the properties. I'm going to just zoom in on this neighborhood up here. And as soon as I start zooming in close enough, we can see those little gray outlines indicating where a building is. If I wanted to, I can also click on that particular listing, just holding it down for a second. There it goes. And it's going to highlight the parcel and give me all the details about that particular property. Now, it looks like there was previously a listing on this, at least recently enough that not only do we have a photo, we also see a button here that says View MLS Listing. How handy is that? But it's also going to show me the remainder. Pull it up, please. Thank you. It's going to show me all of the remaining information from Realist directly. So as I mentioned before, using the Realist through the browser is okay, but I would very strongly suggest just doing it through the MLS Touch app because it is literally the exact same information and it's so much easier to find. Additionally, if we wanted to use the map search to actually construct a real search, so I'm going to zoom out real quick. Let's go over here to my favorite part of Tulsa and take a look around. All right, so I've got some results that are already popping up because I did not clarify any details. So if I come up to the top here where there's the filters button, this is going to allow me to switch over into maybe, let's say, a house, so specifically residential. I hit apply. I want to make sure that I'm only seeing the stuff that's for sale. Hit apply. And I'm going to get a price range. Let's actually go for 300 to 500,000. There we go. Apply. And I'm going to say that I want 3 or more bedrooms, 2 or more bathrooms. Let's give it a living area size. 2,000 to 2,500. Perfect. And I think that the rest of this stuff is probably going to be fine. I do have the option to add more criteria. So for instance, if I wanted to make sure, let's say what the garage size is, I want to make sure that it's going to at least have a couple car garage. There we go. I can hit search and this will provide me with my results. Now you notice that whenever I ended up coming back to the map, it didn't give me a specific area that I'm searching within. It literally just found the properties that are visible on the map that I'm looking at right now. So see that 3 results up at the top right? This is just showing me what's available in that area. So I have not used this function up at the very top that says search by city, subdivision, address, etc. If I do want to use that, so let's say we want to use Eufaula, there we go. Excellent. So here I can see my results. I can go to a list view, or I can even see the stats on all of these. Coincidentally, I think this is kind of funny that they they allow me to see this even though my filter is showing the very specific price range. Anyway, but when I go back to my map, I can also narrow this down a little bit further. So I'm going to actually use the button over here on the top right. See where we have a little eye icon to change some of our map settings. We also have a pen icon, and I can draw on my screen to narrow down my search even further. Now, down at the very bottom of the screen, we now have a Save Search button. So if I had drawn on the screen and found a space that I really wanted to use and like the filters that I had set up, I can just save that search. And then the next time I come in here, area, and I can use that exact same search. Now, just as a heads up, once more, the save searches that you do specifically on MLS Touch are going to be different than the save searches that you have access to on Matrix. Though you do have access to your Matrix saved searches in MLS Touch. Anyway, we also have a contacts page. Now the contacts page is going to be pulling over your contacts directly from Matrix. So let me show you guys what that looks like. If I switch back over here on Matrix to contacts, give me just a second. Man, my allergies have been bothering me like crazy today. Okay, there we go. So I've got my contacts over here on the left, showing me all the contacts that I had created through Matrix directly. So if I see I've got Bill Gates on here, I've got Corey Frederick on here, Dwayne Johnson is a couple lines down, so on and so forth. So all of these individuals that I've created on Matrix are the same contacts that I'm going to have access to on MLS Touch. And that's not where it stops. Any of the information that you guys have sent off to these individuals will also be kept track of as well. So if they have any favorites that they've saved or possibilities, anything they've discarded, you can see all of that information. So for instance, if I'd sent Bill Gates some listings, I can go in and see what listings I'd sent him. Notice he's got some high dollar listings because, you know, he's got that money. But if I go back, I can also send messages to him. Now this messages is going to be something that's unique to MLS Touch. This is going to allow you guys to have effectively a Facebook Messenger style conversation where any of the listings that you've sent to them can be seen and communicated with or communicated about. So you guys can actually start a conversation about this particular listing. And you can send this off in a variety of different ways. So if you guys want to initiate the process of them using the app so that you guys can have this ongoing instant messaging system, you're going to need to share this with, share the app with them. So there's an icon or a button here that says share my app. You click on that, it's going to provide you with a little link. This is going to be unique to them. You can send that off by SMS if they have a phone number that's connected to this account, or you can send it by email. Since I've already got an email account connected to that, I'm going to go ahead and send that off to them, and we're good to go. All right. Let's talk a little bit further about their connection to the app. So I've got a message going on already. So what's happening here is, again, I've sent off an email or communication of some kind to this contact. Their name is up at the top there. And anytime I send them a listing through this messaging service, I can say, check this out, another great house you might like. It looks like these are no longer available. Would you like me to find you something else? And then I found something else that was currently active and sent it off to them. Now, on their end, if they have the client version of the MLS Touch app installed, they can see all of these messages, click on any of the listings, learn more about them from the client's perspective. So there are going to be some pieces of information that are not being shared out, but they can go through and have those conversations with you without any issue at all. And again, those are coming up in a separate app. So if you guys are texting about showings, or if you guys are sending emails back and forth about listings, this conversation that you guys are having in the MLS Touch app is going to be kept separate from all of those. So it makes it a lot easier to kind of keep track of what's happening at what time. Now, finally, we've got that more option down at the very bottom right corner. This is where, again, we can see our saved searches, but there's going to be something that I think all of you guys are going to be interested in, and that's going to be the brand and share option. This is where you guys can go through the process of actually adding in your company logo, putting in your company's color scheme, and you guys can have the client version of all of your apps show your logo and your color scheme on there. So it makes it a lot more, it looks a lot more like this is actually your product. So that continuity of service is actually uninterrupted by, oh, well, I'm going to some other website or something like that, and it doesn't even have your information on there. It says One Home at the top, whatever. Since almost every single person I've ever met has a smartphone, with the rare exception being a couple of realtors I know, this is a great option because most people aren't going to necessarily be as interested in going to One Home and feeling like they have a completely separate interface to use, and it's not in an app, so they're going through the browser, blah, blah, blah. Having an app and having it branded with your information is going to make it seem like you guys are really top dogs. And that's exactly what you guys would prefer for them to think. Now, once you guys have sent off this information to your clients and it's got the branding on there, they're going to have access to that MLS Touch app for clients, and you can see information that they're searching for, and they can save things as favorites, as possibilities. They can message you about stuff, everything. So it's really handy. Now, the interface for this screen is going to look a little bit different depending on whether you guys are on Android or iPhone, but the same basic thing is going to apply. Up at the top, you guys are going to select your logo. Just as a heads up, this is going to come directly from your camera roll. Because of that, I'm not going to show you guys the pictures, hundreds of pictures of cats that I have on my phone. I love my cats. Anyway, there's a color scheme picker, and it has the option to just choose what color you would like. It shows the preview of the color up at the top of the screen. I should also note that when you guys get in here, this is actually one of the things that looks dramatically different when you guys are on Android. This color picker is completely different. But there's also a button here for presets. So if you guys happen to be a part of Century 21, Coldwell Banker, Engel and Volkers, Exit Realty, blah, 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 any of those on there, Remax, Keller Williams, you guys can actually just click on one of those, hit OK, it'll put in your color scheme, and it'll have Keller Williams logo at the top. So much, much easier. You guys can always clear this stuff all out, reset it back to normal. And there is a preview button down at the bottom that allows you guys to see what your branded mobile app will look like, what your emails will look like, what your listing layout will look like, and so on. So once you're happy with that, apply colors and logo, and you're all set. Now, in addition, there is also a Share My App option. This is actually going to be just a general share. So if you guys wanted to actually add this to, who knows, your Facebook account or something like that, so that people can get into the app, start using it, and start searching for properties, you guys can set that up that way as well. Now, the final option that I wanted to mention, because again, there's a whole bunch of cool features in MLS Touch, is actually this Facebook publishing tool. Now, what this is going to do is take the custom branding that you guys have already provided through that brand and share option and turn it into Facebook posts on your company Facebook website. Or I think the term is business Facebook profile. Yeah, it has to be the business Facebook profile. Coincidentally, I tried to set this up with my own Facebook account, and I had a home concert venue thing that I tried to do like several years ago. So it was like a business profile connected to my regular Facebook profile. And it didn't see my regular Facebook profile, it saw that venue profile. So if you guys are not seen as a business when you guys get into Facebook, or if you guys don't have a business page on your Facebook profile, you're not going to be able to actually connect this. But it's easy enough. You hit connect, it'll try and get you signed in, and you guys can actually have your posts with your new listings automatically published to your Facebook page with all the listing information, all the required details if it's coming soon, all the required details if it's active, and you guys can share that information just automatically. Again, it's going to look like this. So I've got the red, the navy, and I can see what it's going to look like when people click on that link. So strongly recommend that you guys take a look at that MLS Touch. The last app that we're going to be discussing is actually the one that has the most documentation about it. So we're not going to linger on it too long, but again, RPR is single-handedly the best app that you guys have access to. MLS Touch is a good close second, but man, RPR blows away the competition. So what this is actually going to allow us to do is search for any properties in the entire country, whether they're listed or not. It also has access to almost all the MLSs in the country. 80% of all MLSs in the country are sharing data with RPR. So what that means is that you guys can actually get in here and check the status of almost any listed property in the entire country. So if you guys had some client that was working out in Oregon and they're trying to buy a property here in Owasso, cool. You're going to end up being able to see what the process is with the property that they're trying to sell, so that by the time they're ready to take it off contingent, officially make it pending because they're moving to Oklahoma, you guys can go through that transition with them because you've already got all their listing information from that other listing in another state. In addition, you guys can search for any properties. So like if we wanted to do that, 5125 South Sandusky, I can search for a property and find not only all the tax record information like I could with Realist or MLS Touch, but it's also going to provide me the opportunity to keep track of any of the public facts. So any of the details coming over from the courthouse, any of the listing details, if there was a current listing on this or at least a recent listing. And then you can also document any changes. So this could be especially handy if you guys are working with this particular client, so the seller, and you're actually trying to get all the documentation ready so that when you list this, you already have all the data in hand. So you can write that information all down on here. You guys can check any of the previous listings, check what the schools are in the area, what their relative academic success is. Like Carnegie Elementary is a B-, Memorial Junior High is a C-, so on and so forth. AARP Livability Index, all these extra features. RPR is actually pulling over information from over 350 different sources. So as soon as I want to send some information off to my client about this property, whether it's listed or it's their own home, there's a reports button down here at the bottom that allows you guys to run all the same reports that you would normally be running on the desktop version of RPR. Now that's just a really super basic overview of that, but RPR actually has an immense amount of documentation online. So if you guys are ever interested in learning more about it, there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. I would strongly suggest just going straight to their website where they have a learn button up at the top of the screen. There's a learn button here. And if you guys want to watch video tutorials, webinars, etc., under the help section, it's a training area, and they have a whole webinar. I think they've actually got two webinars. Yeah, 2 different webinars on using the mobile app. So I'm going to leave the information for that available to you guys. And I'm actually going to be sending off some details for that in the recording link, as long as I can actually get the recording set up on YouTube. I might end up just using it on Vimeo instead, just to make sure you guys have access to it. But I'll get you guys some extra information sent out. But that's about it for our class today. Just wanted to thank you guys so much for joining us. If you guys wouldn't mind, hit that raise hand button before you leave, just to let me know that you guys are still here. And we can go ahead and close up shop. Oh, that's everybody. Yes. Excellent. Yeah, again, thank you guys so much for joining us. If you have any questions on any of the apps, just give us a call over at the service desk. All of our service desk agents are also aware of how to use all of these. So if there's any problems, questions, errors, anything like that, just give us a call and let us know. Thank you guys so much. All right, now to go back to my little contest of wills with YouTube and see if I can actually get all of this stuff uploaded and sent off. Have a good one, guys. I'll get your CE credit sent off in just about an hour here. Have a good one. Stay safe.